Hey, what's going on, people? What's going on, tribe? Just waiting for some people to come in because this, our brother Kirmi, I was over there for a little while. I didn't say nothing, but you know, I always got to give a thumbs up and represent. I'll watch the rest of it later. Talking about a 200,000-year-old floor in a certain place in North America, I keep telling people we've been here for millions of years, but nobody wants to listen. When I'm grateful that people are doing the research, because I said there's a plethora of information out there that alludes and points to this, and the floor is actually older than 2,000 years old. But I always say when you seek something, and the more you dig, the more you shall find. They will never tell the truth about time, even though it is written down. It is written history, whether the Vatican, the Smithsonian, whoever, Pepe, has the information. It's well documented, all of it. Anyway, let me read this to you. This is author of To Say Nothing of the Dog, winner of the Hugo and Nebula Awards Doomsday Book, a tour de force. New York Times states, as they always do. I've heard them say that so many times it bore me now. Anywho, I want to read a couple of things. Okay. Unless things which should be remembered perish with time and vanish from the memory of those who are to come after us, I, seeing so many evils in the whole world, as it were, placed within the group of the evil one, being myself as if among the dead, I, waiting for death, have put into writing all the things that I have witnessed, and lest the writing should perish with the writer, and the work fell with the laborer, I leave parchment to continue this work. If perchance any man survive, perchance, it should say, any man survive, and any of the race of Adam escape this pestilence, and carry on the work which I have begun. That is by Brother John Clinton, 1349. In book 1, it starts with Ronald Bleff Ackenfeld. What a ringer needs most is not strength, but the ability to keep time. You must bring these two things together in your mind and let them rest there forever. Bells in time, bells in time. Remember the importance of them destroying the bells for the death bell or the toll? Let me read this to you. Now, this is by John Donne, who actually, 1572, 1631, excuse me, was an English writer and poet. And as a Catholic in a time when that denomination was illegal in England, he endured constant prejudice and harassment, and was ultimately forced into joining the Anglican Church by King James I. Early in his life, John earned a reputation, remember King James is a title, reputation as a playboy and spendthrift, and he was melanated, all the King James. Okay? Early in his life, John earned a reputation as a playboy and spendthrift, but at 25 he fell in love with Anne Moore. Despite her father's scorn, the couple married, had a dozen children, and John became a devoted, if not financially successful, family man. His career forays included law, diplomatic service, and church leadership, but he is best remembered as the founder of a group called the Metaphysicals. Remember I was stating about a certain period of time? It goes back before that, long before that. When people started going into occultism, that means giving over their will to those things that have nothing to do with order, but negate cultism. Okay? Religion is a major key factor in opening this vector or portal. Anyway, metaphysical poets, popular during his lifetime, then dismissed for many years as inferior because it was so different from other poetry at that time. John's work is today considered brilliant, and his influence on literature legendary. And so they have some individual there because he was actually a mulatto. I'm not even going to waste time to show his picture. You can look up John Donne, D-O-N-N-E. So here it is, For Whom the Death Bell Tolls. And some of y'all should remember this from some of the 1940 and 50 movies, which this was acclimated to. No man is an island, entire of itself. Each is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a cloud be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less. Remember, we founded Europe. Be mindful. As well as if a promontory war as well as if a matter of thine own or thine friend's war. Each man's death diminishes me, for I am involved in mankind. Therefore, sin not to know for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. Why do I say this? Well, my homeboy's nephew's in the Air Force. He's about to retire. And he said to him, and so he called me. So I was talking to him for a couple hours. He says, Rick, have you noticed anything? I says, yeah. People are very emotional and they're acting like they're all silverbacks. He says, exactly. Everybody's acting like they're the baddest thing walking. And he says, do you think it's the Alabama? I said, no, it's not the Alabama thing. There's a number of things going on. This is when the Alabama thing was going on, some punk ass canine cop let their dog maul a man to death. I said, and that's one out of about several. He says, yeah, you check that out too. A friend of mine who I served with in the Navy, his nephew went to the Air Force. His son went to the Marine Corps, fought, came back, lost half a leg. So he says, you know, I noticed even where I'm at, and he lives over in Virginia. He's making his way to Texas. He's got a lot of family there. Him, Big Alexander out of Dallas, guy who I learned how to ride Bronco with, and the rodeos and stuff, and Vegas, Nevada, Miramar, crazy at 8,000 feet. But he says, yeah, I haven't noticed it over here in the last day or two. Even with the tourists, everybody's walking around really cocky. I was like, you need to pay attention to the people around you. He says, I noticed that too. He says, well, my nephew says, if you got a mask or a breather, some way to wear gloves and all this heat, he says, put it on. I says, no. I remember I told you what to do with the turmeric shots, this, that, cold water, blah, blah, blah. If you feel some kind of way, he says, no, I'm doing it. He says, thank you. I remember that. And he told him, he says, because they've been spraying lately quite a bit. Now, remember they took hiatus for a couple of weeks. They weren't spraying nothing. This is another test, people. Okay? Did somebody say something retarded? Hey, don't delete nobody's message, all right? Thank you. Don't do that. Reach out to me. Red, is that disturbing? And I'll say, well, remove it. All right? Anywho, just popped up. And I noticed that with some of you. Oh, those in Facebook and Instagram. I noticed people's attitude, things not being said that should be said. I can see things in people's posts. When I went to the store, when I went to the post office, I saw people were maneuvering, and I was like, holy smack. And I'm always like that because it's just part of who I am. Not hostile. If I was hostile, I wouldn't say nothing. Are y'all paying attention? Do you recognize what I'm saying? Not your regular arguments and all that kind of stuff that you're having in this mixed up crazy world. For the death toll, the death bell, or the death toll, or the death toll bells, or the death bell, or the toll. It doesn't matter how you look at it. There is no good frequency. People are easily manipulated. How many of y'all sit there when you're conflicted and you go from your diaphragm and you do it 10, 20, 100 times. And then when you open your eyes, after 35 rotations to the left and to the right with clarity, and you refocus and you know, whoa, what was I just going through? How many of y'all do that? How many submerge your head in cold water? And then you realize, let me go jump in the cold shower. And then you come out and you feel like everything's brand new. Your anxiety, your angst, your anger is subsided. Your pain is thwarted. Your dopamines are raised. You've got some energy, you don't know where it came from, but you feel rested. I figured if you would do it, you would feel those things because I know you're not doing it. Otherwise, you would feel those things other than the fear of cold, which cold is not a fearing factor. They're spraying stuff. And they're still experimenting. So when are you going to raise your vibration, your harmonic frequency? Are you going to allow yourself to succumb to the whims of the perverse? When are you going to get some aid card and some Mylar and protect your inner circle? For those of you who are on land, why are you not digging in secrecy if your altitude is at least 1,000 to 2,000 feet above sea level? Why are you waiting for? If you're still in the cities, why have you chosen not to get out? What is holding you there? What excuse tires your will and your mind? I just thought I would share that. That was a great conversation we had. I am not going to sit here in libations and give you every bit of it. I just cannot do that. You must know your importance. Let's go ahead and terra infinite extraterrestrial worlds and their civilizations, a story told by the woman who was born in the lands behind the ice walls. Nos confundum. And there's our brother Claudio. And when we looked at the lands of the Draco, the lands of Mars, actually, we're at the lands of Draco. We covered Venus. We did the lands of Draco, and we should be on, I believe, yeah, here it goes. Lands of Neptune, excuse me, which is chapter 8. Chapter 8, the lands of Neptune. Nerida, Triton, and Poseidon, the name of their lands that shine in the dark atmosphere that surrounds their circle environment. It's, I guess, the artist's rendition. The Neptunians have had a hard time since their birth, not because they have not been able to adapt to their environment and survive in a climate where vegetation is not abundant, but because the sandstorms and the aridness that encloses this world can be really devastating. For that reason, most of the big cities were created on the shores of their most fertile lands, leaving a large portion uninhabited. Anyway, the Neptunians managed quite well to carry out colossal creations. There are buildings so tall that exceed twice the size of the known lands. Silence is the faithful companion that will go with you wherever you go in this dark world, as its sun is also very different from those of the vast majority and is totally opaque. Reminds you of what? Isn't that the Iron City or something like that? Remember the post I put up with the people with the who tune, the channeling, the tuning? Only one individual can tune, but he's on a fake Earth out in so-called space on his flat. Throughout the time and with the great technological development that they knew how to carry out, nothing of the climate nor of the darkness was a great obstacle for them. There are also large cities with very high constructions, many pyramids, since the Anunnaki were the ones who entered this world and took over their environment after a long time. Recall the pyramids are key to the Anunnaki colonization that first starts with friendly and supposed technology exchanges between beings. The Anunnaki can be really great swindlers and lie to their leaders to generate a close bond, and then stick the cold dagger in the back. Overnight, the Neptunians were left with nothing, as the Anunnaki had planned everything from the beginning, and everything went as expected. As you see, the Ashkenaz, they were led to do what they've done. And believe me, not smart enough to do it on their own. It is said that this is one of the first lands where they penetrated and ended up colonizing. Think about the word Ashkenaz. Have y'all ever given it a good thought? Ashkenaz. Ab-Khazarians. So they take Khazarian. Isn't that Tartarian lingo that applies only to this ethereal, this ether, this carbon? The natives of these lands could not cope with any technology like that, although we can assure you that it was still in full development. But by that time, the Neptunians had opened a long spiritual and developmental path focused on real personal and spiritual improvement. To cross the Great Dome after transcending matter. But it is not that they left the defense to chance, but they had developed a great military power that did not end up serving against the colonizers, although they did get a big scare when they rebelled. In the beginning, the Neptunians accepted defeat, but as these beings were used for certain tasks within their own lands, that obviously ended up directly benefiting the Anunnaki bosses, they rebelled against them, generating several pockets of fierce fighting. Then the casualties on both sides began, and everything got out of control in the center of these lands. Triton became the epicenter of absolute chaos. The blue blood of the natives was spilled in great quantity. The Anunnaki are still today their great enemies, and that after years they reached an agreement to withdraw from their lands. Today, the Neptunians live in peace and with a high development in technology that benefits their environment, their spiritual growth, and they are in peace with the neighboring lands and races. But according to the story, they prepare in silence for any new attack that could come from the nearby Anunnaki lands or other lands that could penetrate some danger for them. Do the Neptunians travel to other lands? It is said that they have traveled to other lands to investigate how other races live, to generate certain links, and to be able to explore their environment. But it is said that they have not visited the known lands or spoken to any leaders at any time. Although they do know the lands of Mars and have been able to make contact with the human custodial colony located there. As I commented in previous paragraphs, the Neptunians are a race of dark blue color. What does that make you think of? Dark blue color. Avatar. They feed on local fruits, since based on their system, they cannot ingest a great variety of foods. They do not eat meat, and they have a certain friendly relationship with the custodians, although it is not well known why, since they are generally beings that always sought their freedom and independence. Tomorrow we get into the land of Uranus. Cap. The lands of Uranus, okay? Which is based on Titania. It's actually a pretty good read. So it's chapter 9. Mr. George Jones, An Original History of Ancient America. Oh, excuse me. An Original History of Ancient America. It's an Elder Bryan classic. Okay. There you go. Oh, that was Terra Infinita by named Claudio Naselli, Nos Confoundum. This is book 2. Okay, let's go ahead and get into this. Skillful knowledge possessed and existing for ages means a number of anything. It can be a millennia, 1,000 millennia. Anyway, before by any nation. So anyway, skillful knowledge possessed and existing for ages before any nation, and upon any subject would naturally be improved upon and practiced by descendants. They would also improve upon the architecture of any other nation with whom they had association and communion. As Tyrus, excuse me, I have the burp and I can feel it. It's right there. As a people of all the ancient nations was a practical one. Anyway, and as Tyrus, as a people of all the ancient nations was a practical one. They produced in America an improvement and a great one. Upon the architecture of the Egyptians, this fact of improvement and alteration of the original order of Egypt is another proof that the builders were not essentially of that nation, but from a country having of practical skill, and minds daring enough to innovate upon any precedent, when improvement would be the result. That nation was tireless. Don't believe shit about that. Excuse my language. They have to push an agenda while even exploring what may be a possible percent of a truth. We do not desire to advance one assertion, thank you, not capable of being defended, and consequently will establish that an improvement upon the architecture of Egypt does exist in the ruined cities of ancient America. And they're older than Egypt. Egypt was a period, not a place. The first idea in building had its origins, without doubt, from the caverns of nature, where man would be protected from the raging tempests, and from being, this is their opinion, and from being shadowed from the beams of Apollo. By the spreading branches of the forest, he must have soon felt the necessity of converting the latter into more commodious forms than those in which nature had left them. To huts made of trees and branches, festooned together by their own foliage, succeeded more convenient habitations and composed of upright and cross beams, which is pure bullshit. The apparent, I can say that, trust me. The apertures closed with leaves and moistened earth. They're painting a narrative based on monkey to man. Never happened. At least not with you and I. From these humble pillars of the forest were derived those beautiful columns composing the 5 received orders of architecture. That of Egypt is not admitted into the classic group. The interior of a cavern with the walls rising pyramidally gave the natural instruction for the formation of a tent, poles rising from a broad base to a center, or of a single one, with the canvas outstretched by cords and fastened to the stakes driven in the earth. Such were the tents of Israel, those of the aborigines of North America, and of the wandering gypsy in the erection of their culinary edifice. Even in this day, there was no such thing as gypsies until what? To what century, people? When did gypsies arise? Based off of what? Destruction and war. We call them hobos and a number of other things, don't we? The pyramids of Egypt are but majestic examples of the same principle of construction. As far as the visual, the corners and sides of a broad base rising on an inclined plane until they meet and form an apex over a common center. Now, who would need to ascribe to explain that when it was well known by the people of this land? People who are not of this land. Who needs to educate people in their narrative, the whitewashing of history. Puzzle pieces. This construction has given them that defiance against with the whirlwinds and sands for which they are so conspicuous. Water that sore decay of dead bodies, be they of flesh, wood, or stone, can have no effect in Egypt. For there the rains do not fall, and consequently moisture cannot exert her gradual but certain power. In ancient America, this safeguard to edifices is not granted by nature, but yet the principle of the pyramid has given durations and proved the existence of nations in the Western Hemisphere traceable to centers before Egypt mourned a Cleopatra, who as the living emblem of her death became the venomed and faithful serpent of her country. The pyramids of Egypt, symbols of self-vanity. And who were the serpent people? Thank you. Rise from a broad base to an unsupporting, useless, and idle apex. In Mexican America, the lowest portion of the base is retained, and that only, and upon this simple but lasting foundation are erected the perpendicular walls of her sacred temple. Now, as above, as below. The temple is bigger than what you can even conceptualize. Trust me. Sculptured stone forming the facades of the gorgeous edifices, the point of grandeur of design is far beyond the useless masses of the Nile, for there can exist no grandeur of design without the association of utility, physical or mental, and the radiant sun itself would cease to be sublime. Where it in design or in its powers to be devoid of its manifold and creative blessings. Now, the architecture of the universe informing the image of himself, and in assigning it to, they call them the architecture, the functions of physical power, so organize them and the more subtle mechanisms of the brain, that they should illustrate that all action and thought, in parentheses, apart from religious duty, you see what I'm saying, and should be directed towards utility and excellence. The fact of improving upon the pyramidal architecture of Egypt supports the apparent fact that Tyrians, along with the builders of the edifices now under considerations for, in parentheses, apart from the perpendicular river wall, which is identical with the sea wall of ancient Tyrus, a new and distinct order or style of architecture is visible in those temples, traceable from the base to the cornice or summit, and from the compound character believe that we have correctly termed it Egypto-Tyrian. They have termed, renaming something that the information at that time was everywhere. That's why they had to hide and destroy everything, right? So do you see what I'm saying? For the people to be educated in something while telling a truth before it was hidden or destroyed or changed to fit a narrative, they still couldn't even hide it, even in doing this. Remember in the first few chapters, they said that the Negro is. Always remember that. Even with them attempting to explain our own stuff, regardless of how it may have come to be. Betrayal or whatever else, conquering, a fight, a destruction, and then a change. And now you see the perversion of all these pyramids popping up, and metallurgy and certain glass and window panes. Kind of quick, right? Excuse me. Gas. Behold a pale horse. That's why you saw me rub my chest. I was like, gas has got to come out. Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper. That's the gentleman that was killed by a hit team. I need some of this. Let me see if somebody dropped something on my door. I just heard. What was that? Al? I say, if that's UPS, man, he was late than a rocket. I saw him pass through already earlier when I was coming back, talking to my boy. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into this reading. It's the wind. That feels so good. It is hot up in here. It's hot outside. It was agreed that each nation would receive the ambassador of the other for as long as the treaty remained in force. It was further agreed that the alien nation and the United States would exchange 16 personnel with the purpose of learning of each other. Now the alien guests would remain on Earth, and the human guests would travel to the alien point of origin for a specific period of time, then return, at which point a reverse exchange would be made. Now, a reenactment of this event was dramatized in the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. A tip-off to who works for whom can be determined by the fact that Dr. J. Allen Hynek served as the technical advisor for the film. Wow. I noticed that the top secret report containing the official version of the truth of the alien question, entitled Project Grudge. Have y'all looked that up? I believe Snoo might have put the information up there, which I read while in the Navy, was so co-authored by Lieutenant Colonel Friend and Dr. J. Allen Hynek, who was cited as a CIA asset attached to Project Grudge. Now, Dr. Hynek, the one who debunked many legitimate UFO incidents when he functioned as a scientific member of the very public Project Blue Book, and Dr. Hynek is the man responsible for the infamous "it was only swamp gas" statement. It was agreed that bases would be constructed underground for the use of the alien nation, and that two bases would be constructed for the joint use of the alien nation and the United States government. Now, exchange of technology would take place in the jointly occupied bases, and these alien bases would be constructed under Indian reservations in the Four Corners area of Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona. In the Four Corners area of Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona. I would like to say the real names of these places, but that's all right, which were countries. And one would be constructed in an area known as Dreamland. Dreamland was built in the Mojave Desert near or in a place called Yucca. I cannot remember if it was Yucca Valley, Yucca Flat, or Yucca Proving Ground. But Yucca Valley is what always seems to want to say, is what I seem to want to say. More UFO sightings and incidents occur in the Mojave Desert in California than any other place in the world. So many, in fact, that no one even bothers to make reports. Anyone who ventures into the desert to talk to the residents will be astounded by the frequency of activity and with the degree of acceptance demonstrated by those who have come to regard UFOs as normal. Now, all alien areas are under complete control of the Naval Department, according to the documents that I read. All personnel who work in these complexes receive their checks from the Navy through a subcontractor, and the checks never make reference to the government or the Navy. Construction of the bases began immediately, but progress was slow. Large amounts of money were made available in 1957. Work continued on the Yellow Book. Project Red Light was formed, and experimentation in test flying alien craft began in earnest. A super top secret facility was built at Groom Lake in Nevada in the midst of the weapons test range, and it was codenamed Area 51, and the installation was placed under the Department of the Navy, and all personnel required a Q clearance, as well as executive presidential as well as executive presidential called majestic approval. This is ironic due to the fact that the President of the United States does not have clearance to visit the site. And the alien base and exchange of technology actually took place in an area codenamed Dreamland above ground. And the underground portion was dubbed the dark side of the moon. According to the documentation that I read, at least 600 alien beings actually resided full-time at the site, along with an unknown number of scientists and CIA personnel. Due to the fear of implantation, only certain people were allowed to interface with the alien beings, and those personnel wore and are watched and monitored continuously. Now, the Army was tasked to form a super secret organization to furnish security for the alien task projects. This organization became the National Reconnaissance Organization, or NRO, based at Fort Carson, Colorado. The specific team trained to secure the projects were called Delta. So Lieutenant Colonel James Bo Gritz was a Delta Force commander. A second project codenamed Snowbird was promulgated to explain away any sightings of the red light crafts as being Air Force experiments. Now, the Snowbird crafts were manufactured using conventional technology and were flown for the press on several occasions. Project Snowbird was also used to debunk legitimate public sightings of alien craft, or UFOs, to the public, IACs to those in the know. Project Snowbird was very successful, and reports from the public declined steadily until recent years. Man-made, outside influence, or ancient ancestral materials. What do you think? Like I said, do the research and see what you find. This is his book. Appreciate y'all taking the time. Who all came in here? Oh, what's going on, beloved? Appreciate the donation, brother. Hey, Snoo. What's up, baby love? T. Hines. What's going on, beloved? PD. What's going on, beloved? What's happening? Jah. What's going on, my beloved brother? Can't wait till you get here, man, so we can run them drills, bro. Get that 9. Pink, 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 pink. Herbo. What's going on, beloved? It's good to see y'all in here, man. Exodus 3:14. What's going on, beloved? What's happening? What's happening? There's nothing wrong with saying shalom, people. Trust me. Nothing wrong with all. If you want to say that, is very welcome. If you want to say assalamu alaikum, it's fine. It is nothing but a greeting, regardless of its origin. Okay? We're not here to shut. Mr. C, what's going on? Peace, God. What's happening, beloved? I mean, hitting them headstands, meditation, first thing in the AM, grounding, and cold water showers. I'm trying to tell you something, and people, you got to do something else. And whenever you think, if you didn't get a headache, that means you're not utilizing the right size. You're not cracking through because it's going to hurt. It's like when you come into this world, growing pains. Original Lone Wolf, what's going on, beloved? What's happening? What's happening, man? Yo, that was crazy, man. Dude in the Hellcat bumping into Goose Mustang and cuz is bopping off like that. People are just stupid, man. Me, W2 God, 2 eyes. What's going on? How you doing, beloved? How you doing, huh? Well, yeah, I hope you, did you get that? Let me show you. I'm going to show you each book that I just read. Okay? This is for everybody. I was going to read The Gods of Eden and Anunnaki, but I'm reading it tomorrow because I want to get back into the Giants of North America and the other one, which is the Nephilim Chronicles. That is one of the ones I want to add to the, because it is wonderful, the material. So anyway, we started off with Terra Infinita, okay, chapter 8, okay, by the brother right here, Claudio, okay. We went right into George Jones. I was going to read it from this one because this one has a little more detail, but this is basically the original print. But this one is, I don't know if they just added stuff or like I do. It's pretty interesting. Well, they're both are the same, but I've been ordering a lot of these books because they're a little cheaper, just a little cheaper. Excellent reading. George Jones, the Elderbron Classic, and then we went right into Behold a Pale Horse. Let me hold up for a little longer. Excuse me. Terra Infinita. There's another book out. I think it's all in Spanish. I could read it to y'all, but y'all be like, what the f is Red Sand putting the translator on and stuff and everything like that. This is the other one that we read. Elderbron Classic. I remember Elderbron, Channel 13, or I think it was, something like that, back in the 70s. Behold a Pale Horse by Mr. William Cooper. Okay? Fabulous, fabulous readings. I truly enjoy them. Now, the other one that I was going to read, I decided because I want to read it with the other ones because I want to keep it in the same, as far as what you believe, the aliens that could be, past, this, that, and other. And I told you we've been here for a very long time. And I want you to think about this. Who would need to explain the earth and history who are so busy destroying it? And for what purpose? The whitewashing and the change to make you dumb and not who you truly were meant to be. What fear would drive the enemy? But how would they be able to succeed and do it if it weren't for somebody guiding them? And why are the people so afraid to die? You're gonna die anyway. This right here is my beloved Snoo was the one. Excellent friggin' read. All right, excellent. That's The Gods of Eden by William Bramley. And then we have over here by Mr. Henry Crane, The Reptilian, the History of Humankind and Anunnaki by Henry Crane. And this is a little Masonic monkey. Okay. So we will get back. Now the other books will be here. I got a notification in Gmail. I was like, well, I went and checked the mailbox, talking to my boy, and I'm like, it better not be in the wrong key in the wrong box or anything. Anywho, we'll see tomorrow around 1 o'clock. So who else was in here? Oh, anytime. Secret government. It's no secret no more. You know what I'm saying, Mr. C? Right on. So anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed that. I hope y'all agree with each other. I respect everybody that came in. Thank you. Like I said, Kiramia was, let me see if he was still on. He was actually I was over there for quite a bit. I enjoy when he brings information up. I really do. I think he's done. Yeah, he was only about an hour ago. Only for 17 minutes. It was part 6, History or Myth. In 1969, construction workers found a 200,000-year-old floor in Oklahoma. Much older than that. And I love my brother. I love what he does. So I had to go over there, thumbs up, represent, and I shared it. Okay? So I appreciate y'all again, and we will get this cracking. My apologies for going on late. I had to talk to my boy. Nephew had told him something, and he had to tell me in a way that, and I just said I was going to tell you exactly. So if you noticed it, deep breathe, be mindful of your surroundings, close your windows and door. If you got fans, if you don't have AC, deal with it. Take a cold shower. Get you a lemon turmeric shot with a little pepper in it and cayenne. All right, turmeric shot. Shot glass. Put your tablespoon of turmeric. Boil you about 2 ounces of water. You might even take that much. Put you a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Yes. Okay. And a dash of black pepper, which activates the bioflavonoids of even the cayenne, not as well as, of course, the turmeric. Put a couple of drops of lemon juice, real lemon oil or juice, not concentrate crap. Put the boiling water in, stir it up real quick. It's going to be hot. Shoot it back. Your hairs be tingling. Clears out the plaque, all kind of stuff. And it's a little protection. And if the sun is right above you, stand in it. Put a damn mask on if you got one. Just get that sun. Hold your breath. Deep breathe from the diaphragm. Exert the body's appreciation to change and to push toxins and things. Your body is capable of so much more. They say through your mind, your ass will follow. Well, you know that you get gut feelings, right? Okay. It's a little tea. All right? So I appreciate you guys. It's number love again. My beloved sisters. For new subscribers, I appreciate you. Keep bringing them on in. To the brothers, you know what? 2 and 1. Appreciate it. I'm getting ready to get everything, gather my stuff, and go upstairs. I have a movie I want to watch and relax for the evening. Number love and respect, everybody. Y'all have a grand evening.